Aloha! Welcome to the Bishop Museum's Science Never Sleeps. I'm Hadley Andersen. Today I'm with Holly Bolick. She is our Invertebrate Zoology Collections Manager. And we're in our Science Adventure Center today, and so we're going to be talking a little bit about invertebrates, and we're going to be talking about some really cool technology you can use at home or visit here at the museum. So Holly, tell us a little bit about invertebrates.
Well, I'm the collection manager of the marine invertebrate section here at the museum. We have 35,000 catalog lots. We have a lot of unprocessed animals and plants, and that's some of what I'm going to show you today. How we go through taking things from the ocean, sorting them into little groups, and then putting them into our library of life. Right down here we have a regular microscope that all scientists use. It's about $5,000. This is not one that you will probably use at home. We're going to go ahead and use another little toy that we just got that anyone can use. You can clip your phone in, and this will actually clip onto any eyepiece of a microscope, binoculars, anything that ends in the word scope, and you can take pictures with your phone. So first one, just to relate to something that you guys know, does anyone have any money?
I might have some money.
All right. Does anyone know about microprinting on dollars? Do you guys at home have $10 bills? Well, if you do, look on the side, right about here. Do you see any words? Do you know what it says? Does anyone know what it says already? Nope.
I don't have any guesses. I'd probably say God We Trust, or maybe it's the $10 or...
You would be about correct. So has anyone at home found anything written on the side of your $10 bill? It does in fact say America, United States of America, $10. Zooming out, it's right about there on your $10 bill. So now you know our microscope works. On to an actual animal that is a marine invertebrate. We have small little crabs. So if you want to get a little, that's about how big they are in the dish. These ones all came out of dead coral rubble. That's how we find a lot of the animals that are considered cryptic in the ocean. They all hide in little cracks and crevices, and we bring out large chunks of rocks, break them all apart, and then fish out all the little crabs and things. What's really cool about some of these guys are some of the features that they have on them. So does anybody know what phylum a crab is in?
Is it Crustacea?
That is a subphylum. It is also in the phylum here. I'm going to give you guys a clue. This is another feature of an animal that you guys are probably a little bit more familiar with. Let's see. Over just a little bit. Does that look like anything familiar to anyone?
It kind of looks like a little bit like an insect's eye.
Yes, that is in fact a compound eye, just like that of the orange-black damselfly on the wall. Also, really cool features that sometimes tell the difference between two different species are the hairs on their legs, believe it or not. So I've zoomed in on a certain type of crab that has extra hairy legs, and I'm not sure if you guys can see this or not, but there are some hairs coming in and out of focus, and the location of these hairs and where they are located on the claws are very determinant of different types of species. So a lot of the times nowadays we used to have to send out all of these animals across countries, internationally, to the experts of the world. They would take them out of the box, unpackage them, look at them under a microscope, give them a name, and then all in reverse and send them back to us with a name. Nowadays, we can put them under a microscope, take pictures of them wherever they want, whatever part they want, send just the pictures to them, and sometimes they can come back with an ID without us having to actually send the physical animal to them. And that has really advanced science just exponentially, because now turnaround time for naming species is cut in half and possibly even more.
Not to mention saving on postage.
It's really expensive. If you want to ship something in alcohol or a funky preservative internationally, It can be up to $500. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Okay.
and this thing's only $50, and your phone is part of your contract. So sorry, I can't help you with that part.
Okay, so the crabs, you were saying what phylum they were part of, because so we know kingdom, phylum, class. So kingdom was
Animalia.
right?
Yep.
And so then, okay, so next big phylum
Phylum is the Arthropoda,
which is separates under insects and crustaceans.
It's all insects. Now, Crustacea is a subphyla of Arthropoda, and those are all marine insects. So everything that I have is still an insect. It's still in that same phylum, sorry, but they're all found in the ocean. We also have an entomology department that has all land insects. So we do have two separate collections, both with the single phyla. One is in the ocean, one is on land.
And so with our invertebrate zoology collection, not only is it including our Arthropoda group, invertebrates are anything that don't have a spine. So we're thinking, we fortunately are vertebrates, we have spines, but our Arthropoda friends usually have an exoskeleton of some sort or other things helping out. So Holly, what else do you look at here at the museum aside from crabs and crustacea?
Well, we have actually 18 different groups of animals that we have within the invertebrate within the invertebrate collection. This is the only collection that has multiple phyla. Every other collection has one by itself. Some of the things I'm going to show you now are in the more funky groups, the ones that you're probably not going to be that familiar with. First thing we're going to do is look at super teeny tiny things that you are probably familiar with. This is
Sand.
Sand, yeah. Ooh. It's got some black, got some white, got some whatever.
But sand gets made up of a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, does anybody know what's in sand?
Sometimes it's rock, sometimes it is part of animals with shells. So, I think we're going into another group of mollusks, right?
Actually, this is it's a protist. It's a very simple animal. It's called a thorium. So these are the various shapes and sizes that these guys can grow into. They're very simple animals. They're made of calcium, and they're also made up of little shell fragments. They eat diatoms. They can shoot out little clouds of mucus that trap other animals, like smaller crustaceans than I showed you just now.
Wow.
And they're also used as bioindicators. They can also be used by oil companies to find places to dig for oil, because these things are in every ocean all over the entire world, from the shallow all the way down to the depths. So very specific types of thoriums grow in specific locations, and when an oil refinery can find one of those, then they know, let's dig here. So a lot of invertebrates get used for cancer research and bioprospecting and things like that. And this is one of the most common ones that's used by the commercial industry. So let's take a look up close at a couple of these guys. These are the funkiest shaped ones that I've ever seen. They kind of look like little starfish.
Cool.
Once again, simple. Lip. And ooh.
Oh, wow. Now they look kind of porous, almost like coral.
Yeah, they do. They have little channels, and that's for excretion.
Those mucus clouds you were talking about before.
Yeah. They all like to, everything's got to eat and everything's got to poop.
Just different ways of doing it, right?
Indeed. All right, we have one more group that I'm going to show you. And these guys are called moss animals is the common name. They are bryozoans. They are also a different phyla altogether. They're called moss animals, I'm assuming, because of what Nick just told me, that bryophytes are moss, and so bryozoans, I think something from the name, made it seem like these guys were moss animals. They are actually quite hard and crunchy, and they just basically grow like a flat mat. If you've ever pulled a bottle out of the ocean and you've seen something growing on it, something kind of white, it's not a coral, it's most likely a bryozoan.
Is that kind of like what happens to sea glass? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so many times that you pull glass from the ocean, it has encrusting bryozoans. So this is what we're going to take a look at. Looks kind of boring.
From this distance, I'm sure
From this
microscopically
distance.
it's
Yep.
fascinating.
It looks like a little piece of potato chip. So right here, colonial animals live together. They basically live in an apartment complex. So everyone's right next to each other. They can't escape, but they're all individuals. The individuals inside each one of the houses is called a zoid. And these are the little tentacles on the zoids. And once again, same as phoriums, they all eat and they all poop, but not all of them do everything. Some of the zoids are used for locomotion, some are used for protection, some are used for reproduction. So they all get together and they work together to get the most out of life, I suppose.
So kind of like in biology when you have cells that make up different tissues that do specific things.
Yes, exactly. Vertebrates are allowed to do funky stuff like that. So I'm going to start off with a nice wide zoom. So I'm not sure if you can see all the little houses.
It looks like lace.
Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and then focus again. Even closer to the houses. And then let's get even closer and look at just one, and that little guy's trapdoor. So those are the little houses. The zoids and their little tentacles pop out. They do their little functions and then they pull back in and they can close their own little trap doors. But all together, it's like a potato chip.
That's awesome. Thank you, Holly. All right.
So I don't know if you saw how I was messing with the microscope. We have two parts of the zoom. We have a coarse zoom and a fine zoom. So the coarse zoom will get you very quickly down into the lowest or the most zoomed in that you can get, and then the fine zoom helps you focus once you're there. In regular microscopes, it's set up like this. Also in our Science Adventure Center microscope that everyone can use if you come on down to the Science Adventure Center. It also has a coarse zoom and a fine zoom. So we're going to have Nick zoom in on a sea urchin test, and we're going to show you a little bit about it.
Now Nick is one of our collections technicians up in collections. He's pretty used to doing stuff like this.
And so right now he's got it zoomed in on part of an urchin test. So right here are all the little knobs that you guys are used to seeing on an urchin. Right up here you can actually see an attached one. So as these things pop off, this one has just popped off. It leaves that round little nubbin. So when you pick up an urchin test, you usually see all those little nubbins in it, but you don't see the spines. All the spines we actually have in the sand. So when you go look through the sand samples, you'll see all the spines. Left over is the urchin test. And those are the ones that make the very beautiful patterns. You usually see them without the spines on them, but now at least you know. Once they're on the little nubbin, they can move around, and that's how they do their locomotion and protection and keep things away from them. And then this is right in the center of the urchin, and that's its mouth and or its butt, depending on if it's right side up or wrong side down. And inside of that is something called an Aristotle's lantern. And that's their biggest mouth part. And if you take apart an urchin, if you break open that shell, it's a small little lantern-like apparatus.
Whoa.
And they're prized possessions by some. And it's hard to find one intact because they usually fall apart, but they're really beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Holly. Thank you, Nick, for showing us some really great things from our Invertebrate Zoology collection and how to use our microscope down in our Science Adventure Center. If you guys really love what we're doing here at the Bishop Museum, please look us up on the internet. We have a website. It's bishopmuseum.org. Stay tuned for other live Facebook feeds that we'll have coming in the upcoming weeks. We're going to be promoting a lot of our new exhibit that'll be coming in August called Journeys about the Northwestern Hawaiian Islands. But thank you guys for joining me today. Join me again next Friday for Science Never Sleeps.